Jai Baba. This is Minoo Kharas from Karachi, Pakistan. Today I will speak to you all about my life, in short, with our beloved Meher Baba. It was since my childhood that the urge to see God was predominant, without anybody having referred to me about it, or without my having read anything to have that instinct in me aroused. Visits and solicitation of advices from the first natural available sources, the priests, first of my community where I am born, the Parsis, and then from the others, brought me nowhere near God. Naturally, I then had to turn myself to visiting various mazars, tombs, places of pilgrimages, and yet my intense desire to meet God was a complete frustration. I then contacted a number of saints, including the world-famous Krishnamurti, but yet God was nowhere to be found. I then wondered whether God is really any entity or not. And if He is, then why and how do I not see Him? And it was very clear to me that I not only wanted to see God, but wanted thereafter to be with Him. And strange as it may sound, to be actually be Him. Sort of merged completely in Him, that I would want nothing else than that. So finally, I took recourse to seashores, graveyards, outskirts of the city, jungles, and I started talking to God, all in the wilderness. Yet there was no trace of God. I started becoming rowdy with God, nowhere to be found, but kept on persisting in my search for God, this very life at any cost. Almost when I was totally frustrated, I was mightily happy for having come across Kabir Wani, a book by the renowned perfect master Kabir Sahib, in which it is crystal clear that God does come down periodically in the form of a master, a Sadguru, and also once in a while as the avatar, the Rasul, the God-man. Well, the first part of the journey was over. Now it was for me, at any cost, to locate God. Reading English translation of the Holy Gita, this was confirmed to me that God Himself does come down once in a while, once in a cycle of time. And the last thing therefore left for me was to find out if the present times in which I am living is the time when God would be available in the flesh. At last, on the most memorable Sunday, the 17th of January 1932, I did meet a human being who for all practical purposes appeared and appears always as an ordinary normal human being as you and I. And I met him at a Circle Cinema Nasik. But the moment I saw him, I felt within me, without his having said anything or even gestured, because then he was in his silence, in his early beginning years of silence, I felt convincingly that this is the God in flesh before me, and that my search for God had ended. Now it was for me to get closer and closer to Him in my life unto my goal, God realization, which then was predominant in me. Well, the first day when I met him, I did not utter one word, but fired out every word, good or bad, that I had within me, and his gestures, his noddings, his saying yes by nodding his head in that manner, proved to me conclusively that every word that I was uttering from within, he was listening. And right enough, as soon as I completed, he said, "Minoo, I have heard you completely. Not only you love me, but I love you. I have a debt which I have to repay you." And so on. Well, this is how our physical association in life started. But let me make it very plain to you all that to me, he was God, that is, Almighty in human form. Nothing short of that. And in this fashion, my association in life started. His few utterances were mostly in regard to the stupendous role that, according to him, I would have to play with him physically this very life during his most glorious manifestation as never before. He made no secret of this fact, and he made certain utterances which proved the inner deep urge in me to find God this very life, to be with him, and to finally merge in him. In order to qualify me for that stupendous task, from the very beginning, he gave me 3 specific orders, saying, "Minoo, beware of a lustful act. No woman, no romance. Number 2, no drinking of liquor in any form." He even specified, not even beer, not even toddy, at any cost, even at the cost of your life. And 3rd, no smoking. it was perfectly evident that this caution he gave, this open hint he gave through his infinite compassion to see that when the holy hour does come, and be sure it will come in our very lives, that I would be ready, fully qualified to be with him then. Why should I have been singled out? Or why should a few others, I do not know if any others have been so clearly and repeatedly and emphatically informed by Baba, but I am concerned with myself and with Baba. But I know he has done this. And so much so that once in early 40s, he had his then secretary, Mr. Faramroz Dada Chanji, sent all over to Karachi with only one news to me, that Minoo, remember my words and don't waste energy, reserve for the stupendous task. Just imagine. And then a little before that, in 1939, he sends me a cable, come alone, inform none. As if I was a child at a junction, I cannot name that railway junction, lest you would suspect or understand where Baba called me, and he did not and does not want till this moment anybody to know where he called me, where he met me. And I was taken there from that junction as if I was a child, and even after the task was over, within a few hours that day, I was sent back with Mr. Dada Chandi up to that junction. It was at that moment also that he confirmed all about my being vigilant of what he had told me in regard to the role that will have to be played at the time of his manifestation. In 1943 at Lahore, he once again sent for me and repeated the same thing. And from beginning till the last moment, every time I met, he asked me whether I had slipped even a bit in the three said respects. And whatever human failings and weaknesses I underwent, which I boldly confess, were by his grace within the limits. There were occasions when I almost crossed the threshold. I was nervous, but the love and faith, and above all his love grace on me, kept me up to this very moment. Then comes the new life of Baba, in which, as many of you may be knowing, I was one of the Yaswalas, and I was the only one singled out by him, that being Yaswalas, I was to go back to the same old life in the world, with the exception of certain orders that he gave me during new life, and those orders coincided with all the activities that Baba with his Yaswala companions did during the new life phase. Now, with all these spiritual utterances of the highest order, I must admit that side by side he warned me and warned me repeatedly, saying very often, Minoo, you are perfect from top to toe, but your eyes are very bad. And in time to come, he took pains to see that those eyes changed. And now you would like me to be a little more in a lighter mood to tell you few things about my association with him for around 39 years. That is from 17th of January 1932 at Nasik to 31st of January 1969 when Baba dropped his physical body. Well, it all looks a very long period. But don't be carried away by the impression that all the 39 years I was with him. According to the notes that I have written from beginning till now, whenever I met Baba, wherever I met Baba, at various places in the undivided India, I remember well that Baba has played many games with many people, and I have played some of those games like marbles, cricket, carom, his most favorite card game Laris, table tennis, drafts. And at that time Baba was absolutely as normal, natural as any human being. One wondered as to why and how one who calls himself as God had such activities. But he had his own reasons for that. And it would be out of place at present to elaborate on this side of Baba's life. But during these games, I saw him in a very happy mood, at times in very violent mood, at times so very angry, all kinds of moods through which we all humans pass when we play these games. But in all these games, singing, dancing, and such physical activities that we experience with him in our life with him, he very keenly watched almost everyone as to how far one was conscious of the fact that he is before God in human form. This was very, very difficult.